Alright guys, most worn fragrances in 2024. I've got 11 fragrances here. Most of these launched in 2024. Some launched earlier, a year earlier. One, I'm completely uncertain. It was a discovery I stumbled onto and I was handed a strip. Loved it, bought it on my trip to Dubai earlier this year. But 11 fragrances that I've worn the most of, you're going to find out what they are coming right up. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'm Sebastian, talking about the most worn fragrances of 2024. If you have a list, let me know what your list is. Add a comment below so we can all find out. And once I'm going through the fragrances, do let us know if you've sampled them and you've worn them and how much you wore them yourself. So let's get started with the first fragrance, going to JUSBOX with 54. So I've got 2 full bottles that I've used up completely, and I have 1 bottle at home that's 3/4 used up, and this is the 4th bottle. And in addition to these, there's probably a bunch of samples and also several 7 ml minis. So this is definitely the fragrance I wore the most of in 2024. And on my trip for 6 weeks in Europe, including the UK, when I went there for 54, I started wearing it. Actually, I started wearing it before. I also went on the trip to Portland prior to that trip. I was wearing it there at a wedding, so it was the most worn fragrance. Most of the reactions with this one were very positive. People seemed to love it, and I got compliments with it. If you still don't know what 54 is about, it's patchouli, pina colada, vanilla, chocolate, cinnamon, rum, sandalwood, cardamom, davana, tobacco. It's super delicious, settling on me as a milk chocolate effect. It's amazing with the tobacco and the dry down and also the sandalwood. It's a great, great fragrance that I'm very, very proud of to be involved in the creation of. If you haven't gotten your nose on it, please do. It's a fantastic fragrance, as I said, and it's the fragrance I wore the most of. Then we're going to a house called Dorsey. This is Tonka HYSTERIA. So I got to sample Tonka HYSTERIA a year ago in October of this year, September, October, late September, early October. So I sampled it in 2023. Then I sampled it at Incense earlier this year in March. And at that time I was given a nice large decant of it that I wore. Until the fragrance launched around the same time as 54, I've gone through almost a full bottle plus the, I think, 15 to 20 ml bottle of the decant that I was given. So it's a fantastic gourmandesque take on a tonka bean fragrance with a lot of smoky and spicy touches. It's mandarin orange, vanilla, tonka beans, benzoin, myrrh, Orris, cinnamon, Labdanum, pink pepper. Very delicious. It's an extrait de parfum, and I can't stop wearing it. It's very addictive, and there's cherry touches in here because it's tonka in the end. Tonka has that about it. It's kind of like a bitter almond smell and even taste. And also slightly boozy. So I consider it a gourmand, but I don't consider this super syrupy, sticky, sweet. But it is sweet. It's also a bit nutty. And also, as I said, a bit fruity with the cherry-like effect, and also a bit boozy. But it's super, super fantastically delicious. It's one of the fragrances I wore the most of. Next, going to the house of MAISON CRIVELLI, it's Tuberose ASTRALE. So this bottle I've used about 1/3 of. And then also I had a large decant of it that I was traveling with that I've also used up quite a bit. And to me, it's hands down the best in the red bottle series of fragrances from MAISON CRIVELLI. Once again, it's an extrait de parfum, long-lasting, amazing creation by Quentin Biche, and I love wearing it and also garnering compliments. When I first started wearing this in March of this year, I was wearing it in France because that's where I got the decant, and people were really reacting really dramatically as to how great I smelled. I wasn't sure about this at first because I got to sample it at ZGO Perfumery in San Francisco because it launched just around the time I was heading out to Europe for Incense. And I wasn't sure about it. Then I said, okay, I'm going to give it a try because at that time I was still the biggest fan of Patchouli Magnetic. But it started wearing so amazingly on me. It's almost like a sort of masculine take on a tuberose fragrance with Quentin Biche's magical touches that are in here, giving it very spicy edges and things like that. It wears fantastically on me. Very, very long lasting. I don't think it's as potent as Patchouli Magnetic, but still very potent. And a very, very fantastic creation for the house of Maison Crivelli. So Tuberose Astrale is another great fragrance that I wore a lot of in 2024. So going to a few fragrances, or I should say 3 fragrances from 2023. First of which is Les Eaux Primordiales Vanille Supermassive, this one right here. This actually got featured in Scent Club Kit number 10. I believe either in May or June. I'm drawing a blank with the dates. It's been a long year. Lots happened. But to me, I still can't get enough of how great and delicious this is. Once again, sort of a masculine take on a vanilla fragrance. And it's woody, it's spicy, it's musky. Sort of a bit of a like a gourmand-esque touch in there because it also has caramel. But I think there's enough notes in here to create a bit more of a unisex, if not masculine-leaning kind of a vanilla fragrance. Not super gourmand. But what a fantastic wear it is. This is not as super potent as the previous 2 extracts, but it has great lingering power. And to me, it smells super, super sexy. I absolutely love this fragrance, and I can't get enough of Vanille Supermassive. And even though I criticized Amber Supermassive when it first launched, that is actually growing on me so much. I don't think it'll ever take over the place of Vanille Supermassive, but I think it's also a great creation. Let's see if I wear plenty of it in 2025. But the next one's from the house of Tom Ford. We've got Vanilla Sex. Vanilla Sex in the Private Blend collection. My last really, I guess, obsessed fragrance from Tom Ford in the Private Blend collection. A lot of the fragrances this year have been a bit of a underwhelming experience, but for me, this Vanilla Sex is super delicious. It reminds me of Almond Nougat. That's how it wears. It's a gourmand. Lots of vanilla absolute here with vanilla tincture. There's Ultravanil with bitter almonds, sandalwood, tonka beans, and floral notes. Wears really amazing on me. Once again, it's not your super intense projection. It's loud, but this I would not say is loud like even the JUSBOX 54 is wearing louder than this. But what I was going to say was the d'Orsay Tonka Hysteria or the Tuberose Astrale from Maison Crivelli are much, much louder, but great lingering power and also super, super delicious. So Vanilla Sex is definitely a great fragrance. I know it's a polarizing fragrance for some strange reason, but according to sales reps I speak to when I go to different department stores that sells that fragrance, it sells a lot. So there are fans of it out there. The next fragrance from the house of Sospiro, it's Dolce Melodia. Yeah, launched in 2023. Although it was a relaunch, the fragrance was reformulated from the previous edition. I have a video on the channel if you want to find out what the difference is between this orange-yellow bottle that came out last year to the previous one with the white and purple writing. A lot of people were asking, so I ended up buying a bottle of the old version. There's differences. For me, this is much louder. But again, it's a great fragrance that I can't get enough of. It's a super amazing, very loud, fruity floral amber fragrance with gardenia, mandarin, vanilla, white musk, sandalwood, orange, pear. Wears beautifully on me with a nice sillage, and also compliments come in with this one as well. And this was actually, I thought this was featured in December of 2023 in our Scent Club kit. I think it was featured in January now that I think about it. But amazing, amazing fragrance. Really wonderful. I can't get enough of it. It's still my #1 favorite fragrance from this house, Dolce Melodia from the house of Sospiro. But the next fragrance is also from Sospiro. It's Dolce Sonata. This is also becoming a frequent wear for me. I love the way it smells, and I like that contrast that comes in. I think some of the feedback with this might be that it has this kind of a dirty smell. And I think it smells smoky leathery for me. And it nicely cuts through the fruity floral touches of the fragrance, which you're thinking it's all, fun and happiness. There's some adventure that comes in where you're wearing this one. You get interrupted with the leathery, smoky animalicness that's in here. But it's cotton candy, raspberry, apricots, osmanthus, incense, lime, lily of the valley, rose, bergamot, jasmine, and many other notes. And this one I would say use caution, unlike Dolce Melodia. I would say use caution. Get a sample first because that smoky leather and malic thing that cuts through might be a bit off-putting to a certain few, but I absolutely love it. And the other thing that's great about this one is I was a fan of Fenty by Fenty when that first came out. I don't wear it much anymore because I don't have another bottle. Maybe I do somewhere. This reminds me of that with the addition of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia from the house of Raja Parfums. So I feel like it's a marriage of those two fragrances, but in the Sospiro kind of way. So Dolce Sonata from the house of Sospiro. Let me know if you're familiar with that. Next, going to the house of Hugo Boss, is Boss Bottled Absolu. I bought my bottle in September of 2024 when I was in France. I walked into a Marionade, and is it a Marionade? Nocibe, I think, is the store I went into near the Opera Garnier. And I smelled it and I was like, this is really good. I'm going to buy my bottle. Yeah, it's another flanker in the Boss Bottled series, but does it even smell like Boss Bottled anymore? Absolutely doesn't. But this Absolu is the best in the series for me. I absolutely love it. The elixir is good, but the Absolu is where it's at. And what I like about this one is the patchouli, along with leather, incense, myrrh, davana, cedar. It's loud, but I wouldn't say it's loud like the extrait de parfum fragrances I spoke to you about. Even the Sospiros are louder than this, but for a designer, it's super, super amazing, super sexy as well. I find patchouli to be a sexy note. That's why I tend to use it. It just is a really, really sexy ingredient in fragrances. And it's used quite a bit. Sometimes as an afterthought, more of like a, supporting player. Sometimes the star, like in 54, it's the star. And also in Boss Bottled Absolu, it's the star here. Smells fantastic. Best designer release of the year. It's Boss Bottled Absolu from the house of Hugo Boss. Then it's all about Born to Stand Out's Filthy Musk. So this is halfway finished, and also I had a 15 ml atomizer of this that I was using throughout my trip in Europe when I was there in August, September, and October. It's one of the most delicious musk fragrances, coming I think a year after Sadonaso, which was kind of sort of like this. Sadonaso had that sweetness and ambery touch, but it was a very polarizing fragrance. I feel like this is also polarizing. I haven't heard a lot of feedback on this from you guys. What are your thoughts on Filthy Musk? Let me know. But a great, great fragrance created by... drawing her blank with her name. What is her name? She's a perfumer over at Flair. And sorry, I'm forgetting your name, but I'm going too fast and sometimes names escape me. But Filthy Musk, amazing, amazing fragrance. Absolutely love it. And if you're a musk lover and you like sweet gourmand notes with it, you got to get your nose on this. But it can come off dirty. I think it's polarizing. There are animalic notes in here. So I just remember her name. It's Margot Lepage-Goran. She works over at Flair. And she's done several fragrances for Born to Stand Out. I think this is my favorite of hers over at Born to Stand Out. In fact, this might be my favorite fragrance from Born to Stand Out. Absolutely love it. Maybe it's time for me to do an updated list on the house. What do you guys think? Maybe a top 10? Because they have so many fragrances. But either way, Filthy Musk, super delicious. Absolutely love it. And we've got 2 more left. This is from the house of I Don't Know. And this is the fragrance, as I said. Walking in a Dubai mall, I was handed a strip sprayed on from a perfume by a sales associate in a store. I grabbed it on my walk with a friend. I smelled it. I was like, oh man, that is good. But we were headed somewhere. And along the time the guy was inviting me into the store, I said, sorry, I got to get going because we were in a rush. I said, I'll come back though. And I was lying. But I smelled that strip and I said, I got to go back and buy that fragrance. So the brand, I don't know this brand at all. And I looked up their Instagram account and I don't know much about them. It's THOQ Al-Hawamer, and I think this is called Al-Diwan. I can't find any info about this fragrance, but it's one of the best fragrances I've ever put my nose on. To me, it's kind of like an oud rose combo, but more creamy and patchouli. That's what I get with this. It smells super fantastic, really loud for what it is, great trail, great sillage, and a great, great smell. So it's like getting black oud from the house of Montal and adding this kind of creamy, smooth, milky layer to it. Oh man, it's delicious. So, so delicious. It's almost like oud dessert with rose. It's very Middle Eastern. It has that Middle Eastern smell. And perhaps I'm also getting a little bit of saffron because the rose in here does remind me a little bit of saffron. And the rose and saffron combo is quite done. Fantastic fragrance. I don't know where to get this. I'm wearing too much of it since I bought it. And I really, really have to get a backup bottle. I don't know how. And do I have to wait until I go back to Dubai? If I go back to Dubai next year to buy another bottle. It's a fantastic fragrance, guys. Anyway, this is THOQ Al-Hawamir Al-Diwan. Let me know if you guys are familiar with that. Put a comment down below. And last but not least, we've got another Tom Ford. It's Eau d'Ombre Leather. And the reason I wore this one a lot is it's a less expensive version of something like Baby Cat. Compliment getter as well. It's smoky, it's spicy, it's vanilla, it's leather, and a totally different take on the original Ombre Leather. It's a really, really fantastic fragrance. It was a bit of a shock to get this, but I really love it. I love the Baby Cat Vanagloria No. 5 by Rosendo Matu DNA. And again, this is the one you carry around with you. You spritz a lot. It's not overwhelming because it's an eau de toilette, but it's actually quite beefy for what you get. And it smells amazing. I absolutely love it. If you're familiar with Baby Cat, Rosendo No. 5, even Vanagloria, you might not need this one. But again, it's a smaller bottle I can carry around with me and spritz away when I'm away somewhere and wear it and enjoy the fragrance. And when I do that and walk in somewhere, like a coffee shop or something, the reactions are always positive. Either way, Tom Ford's Eau d'Ombre Leather, that is the last fragrance I'm talking about today. Do let me know what your thoughts are on these fragrances. Add a comment below and let me know what fragrances you wore the most of this last year. 2024, or actually this year, which is coming to an end. Either way, guys, thanks so much for watching today's video. If you have any questions or comments, please list below. Please like this video, please share it, follow me on Instagram and Facebook, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye.